Hello, graceful Libra. Today, July 13th, 2026, not every meaningful shift announces itself with dramatic change. Sometimes the most important turning points begin quietly, through a conversation that lingers in your thoughts, a feeling you can no longer ignore, or a moment when everything suddenly seems to fall into better balance. The day doesn't ask you to chase certainty. Instead, it gently invites you to notice what has been unfolding beneath the surface all along. As this day unfolds, imagine the calm elegance of a swan gliding across still water. It never forces the current, it always knows where it is going. Even when the surface appears perfectly still, there is quiet movement beneath it, carrying the swan forward with effortless grace. Let that image remind you that your greatest strength today may come from choosing alignment over urgency, trusting yourself enough to leave behind habits that no longer reflect the person you are becoming. Before rushing toward answers, allow yourself the gift of perspective. Picture a graceful crane standing patiently at the water's edge, observing before taking its next step. There is wisdom in that pause because patience often reveals details that urgency cannot see. If a challenge appears today, resist the impulse to solve everything immediately. Reflection may reveal details that haste would overlook, and what first appears uncertain could gradually become much easier to understand. You don't need every piece of the puzzle before taking your next step. You simply need enough clarity to move with confidence. Sometimes the clearest direction comes only after you stop trying to please every voice except your own, and begin listening to the quiet wisdom that has been waiting beneath the noise. The symbolic energies surrounding today encourage thoughtful action rather than impulsive movement. The Knight of Swords reminds you that clear decisions become more powerful when guided by purpose instead of pressure, encouraging you to act from conviction rather than reaction. Meanwhile, the Two of Pentacles suggests that your responsibilities and your well-being do not have to compete with one another. Balance isn't created by doing everything perfectly. It's created by knowing what deserves your attention in each moment. The Nine of Cups invites you to acknowledge the quiet victories that often go unnoticed, the conversations that went better than expected, the fears you've already overcome, or the habits you've gradually improved. The Queen of Pentacles gently reflects the truth that abundance frequently begins as a feeling of stability long before it becomes something you can measure. Gratitude creates space for that quiet confidence to grow, allowing you to appreciate how far you've already come while remaining open to everything that is still unfolding. Pay attention to the subtle ways life speaks to you today. Perhaps certain numbers seem to appear more than once. Perhaps an unexpected meeting offers exactly the perspective you needed, or perhaps a simple thought keeps returning until it asks to be heard. Sometimes the signs that matter most are not dramatic. They arrive through perfect timing, meaningful conversations, or an unexpected sense of calm where anxiety once lived. Rather than searching for certainty everywhere else, notice how your own intuition responds. When you release the need to control every outcome, you become more aware of opportunities that have been patiently unfolding around you all along. A few peaceful moments outdoors, an open window, or a slow walk beneath the morning sky may help restore the sense of balance your mind has been seeking. Nature has a quiet way of reminding you that growth unfolds gradually, and there is no need to rush what is already finding its proper rhythm. As the day continues, remember that your inner landscape often shapes the way you experience the world around you. Choosing calm over fear and honesty over self-doubt can gradually transform the decisions that lie ahead. The more peaceful your inner dialogue becomes, the easier it is to recognize opportunities instead of obstacles. Every experience, whether comfortable or challenging, has the potential to deepen your understanding of yourself and strengthen your resilience. Even moments that once felt like setbacks may reveal themselves as necessary turning points when viewed from a little farther down the road. Keep your heart open to meaningful coincidences and quiet reminders that your efforts are creating progress, even if every result has not yet become visible. Trust that steady growth often happens long before it becomes obvious to anyone, including yourself. Approach today with steady confidence and genuine appreciation for how far you've already come. Growth is rarely a straight line, but each thoughtful choice helps restore a deeper sense of purpose. There may still be questions that haven't fully answered themselves, yet uncertainty doesn't have to prevent meaningful progress. New possibilities often emerge when your mind and heart begin working together instead of pulling in different directions. By allowing logic and intuition to support one another, instead of competing for control, you create a stronger foundation for every decision that follows. You may not have every answer today, but you may notice that the questions themselves have become gentler, making room for greater clarity to arrive naturally. Before we continue, remember that this reading offers general guidance rather than fixed predictions. Some parts may reflect your present circumstances very closely, while others may simply offer something to consider for another time. Every person's journey unfolds according to its own timing, experiences, and choices, which is why no single message can capture every individual story completely. Allow these reflections to serve as gentle guidance rather than absolute certainty. Every journey unfolds differently, so allow your own intuition to decide what truly resonates with you. Stay with me as we explore today's influences surrounding relationships, finances, well-being, and family, because there may be meaningful insights waiting in each of those areas, and sometimes the message you need appears in the place you least expect. First, I'd like to share today's symbolic numbers and color. The numbers 13 and 31 may be worth noticing if they happen to cross your path, serving as gentle reminders to look at situations from more than one perspective before making important choices. Their mirrored relationship reflects today's deeper theme of balance, encouraging you to consider both what you feel and what you know before reaching a conclusion. The color soft lavender carries a calming, balancing quality that can encourage emotional clarity and thoughtful communication throughout the day. Whether it appears in your surroundings, your clothing, or simply in your imagination, let it remind you to return to a place of calm whenever life begins to feel overwhelming. Above all, don't allow someone else's opinions to become louder than your own sense of worth. There may be people whose words reflect their own fears more than your reality, and it's important not to let those voices shape the way you see yourself. Not every criticism is meant to guide you, and not every opinion deserves equal influence over your decisions. You possess more wisdom, kindness, and capability than you sometimes give yourself credit for, and recognizing those qualities creates the foundation for lasting confidence. Real confidence grows quietly through self-awareness, not through seeking approval from everyone around you. At the same time, be discerning. If an offer, business opportunity, or persuasive conversation feels slightly out of balance, give yourself permission to pause before saying yes. A brief moment of reflection today may save you from unnecessary complications tomorrow. Trust is valuable, but today it is strengthened by thoughtful observation rather than quick assumptions, reminding you that your greatest decisions are often made when both your intuition and your reason are allowed to work together. There are moments when moving forward doesn't require adding something new. It asks you to clear away what has quietly outlived its purpose. Think of it like opening the windows in a room that has felt heavy for too long. Fresh air doesn't create a new home. It simply allows you to appreciate the one that was always there beneath the dust. Few people enjoy sorting through what has become cluttered, but once the space is cleared, everything begins to breathe differently. In much the same way, you may find yourself realizing that certain relationships, habits, or expectations no longer fit the person you're becoming. That realization doesn't have to come with resentment or regret. Sometimes it simply reflects growth, reminding you that making room for what truly belongs is just as important as pursuing something new. You've never been someone who measures connection by the number of people around you. What matters to you is sincerity, mutual respect, and the feeling that both people can be fully themselves without pretending. Because of that, today may encourage you to become more intentional about who you allow into your inner world. You may even notice that some conversations leave you feeling lighter, while others quietly drain your energy, and that contrast can teach you more than words alone. Rather than widening your circle for the sake of appearances, protect the trust you built over time. Genuine relationships tend to deepen naturally, while forced ones rarely create the balance you're truly looking for. Choosing quality over quantity isn't about shutting people out. It's about honoring the kind of connection that allows both people to grow. Today carries the feeling of quiet realignment, as though scattered pieces of your inner world are beginning to settle into place. Instead of dramatic change, you may notice a growing sense that your thoughts and emotions are finally moving in the same direction. Decisions that recently felt complicated could begin to feel surprisingly simple, not because the circumstances have changed overnight, but because your perspective has. That inner harmony creates a stronger foundation for whatever comes next, allowing you to welcome unexpected opportunities without feeling that you must control every outcome. What once seemed uncertain may now begin revealing its purpose, one step at a time, encouraging you to trust the natural rhythm of your own journey rather than comparing it with anyone else's. The symbolic messages surrounding today's reading invite thoughtful action guided by self-awareness. The Lovers speaks less about fantasy and more about choosing relationships that reflect honesty, reciprocity, and shared values. It reminds you that meaningful partnerships are strengthened through everyday choices, listening carefully, communicating openly, and showing up consistently. For Libra, whose heart naturally seeks harmony, this card suggests that meaningful connections become stronger when both people meet each other with openness instead of assumption. If distance or misunderstanding has existed, gentle conversations may begin restoring what once felt difficult to reach, creating space for trust to grow where uncertainty once lingered. The Two of Cups continues this theme by highlighting emotional exchange and mutual understanding. You may notice someone expressing themselves with greater sincerity than before, or perhaps you become more willing to lower the quiet defenses built from past disappointments. This card also reminds you that vulnerability doesn't require abandoning your boundaries. It simply asks you to allow genuine connection the chance to develop naturally. Whether this energy appears in romance, friendship, or an important partnership, allow trust to develop naturally rather than rushing to define where everything is heading. Authentic connection often grows through consistent, sincere moments rather than grand declarations, and today's energy encourages you to appreciate those quieter expressions of care. The Chariot introduces a different kind of movement, not reckless speed, but focused direction. If you've recently felt pulled between several possibilities, today may help one path begin standing out more clearly than the others. Rather than trying to keep every option open, you may discover the relief that comes from committing your energy to what genuinely aligns with your values. Progress comes from concentrating your energy instead of dividing it among every expectation around you. Even if small obstacles appear, your ability to remain centered will carry you farther than reacting to every distraction. Steady momentum often accomplishes far more than hurried action. Strength arrives as a reminder that real confidence rarely needs to announce itself. It reveals itself through patience, emotional maturity, and the willingness to respond with wisdom instead of impulse. There is a quiet dignity in remaining calm when circumstances invite frustration, and that calm becomes one of your greatest assets today. Past experiences with disappointment, criticism, or difficult personalities may have taught you valuable lessons about protecting your peace without closing your heart. Those lessons are becoming quiet sources of resilience, helping you navigate today's interactions with both compassion and healthy boundaries. What once felt like painful experiences may now reveal themselves as the very moments that strengthened your character. The Hermit gently shifts your attention inward, inviting you to listen before making important decisions. A quiet moment alone may offer more clarity than hours spent searching for reassurance from everyone else. Sometimes the answer you've been seeking isn't hidden, it has simply been waiting for enough silence to be heard. Questions surrounding family, work, or personal direction become easier to understand when viewed from a place of inner honesty rather than external pressure. Looking back on previous challenges, you may recognize that they have prepared you with insight you couldn't have gained any other way. The wisdom you need today may already be within you, waiting patiently for your attention. If matters of the heart require your attention today, approach them with curiosity rather than urgency. The answers you're looking for are more likely to emerge through calm reflection than emotional reaction. Not every conversation needs to resolve every uncertainty immediately, and sometimes simply understanding one another more deeply is enough to move the relationship forward. As your understanding of yourself becomes clearer, your relationships naturally begin reflecting that same clarity, creating space for healthier choices and more meaningful connections built on honesty instead of assumption. Your physical well-being also deserves gentle attention. If restful sleep has been difficult lately or your daily routine feels out of rhythm, consider whether small adjustments could make a meaningful difference. A more consistent evening routine, a little less mental stimulation before bed, or a few quiet moments to unwind may have a greater effect than you expect. This isn't meant as a prediction, but as an invitation to notice patterns your body may already be communicating. Consistent habits, restful evenings, and paying attention to any persistent concerns can gradually restore both your energy and your sense of balance, allowing you to meet each new day with greater focus and emotional steadiness. Professionally, you may be standing at the edge of an opportunity you spent considerable time evaluating. If you've questioned whether you're truly prepared, remember that thoughtful preparation often creates confidence long before you recognize it. It's common to underestimate your own abilities just before stepping into a new chapter, especially when the opportunity matters deeply to you. The skills that brought you this far were earned through experience, dedication, and quiet perseverance. Others have likely recognized qualities in you that you sometimes overlook in yourself. Trust your ability to contribute, remain open to collaboration, and allow your growing clarity to guide the next step with confidence instead of hesitation. The more you lead from authenticity rather than self-doubt, the more naturally your talents will find the place where they can make the greatest difference. If a new professional opportunity has recently entered your life, or one is beginning to take shape, you may notice a mixture of excitement and uncertainty arising at the same time. That combination is more natural than it may seem. Often, when we step into something we've worked toward for a long time, the mind questions whether we're truly ready, even when our experience has already answered that question. Growth has a way of stretching our confidence before it strengthens it, and that temporary uncertainty is often a sign that you're moving beyond familiar territory. Remember that your progress has not been built on luck alone. It has been shaped by your dedication, your willingness to learn, and the quiet consistency that others have come to trust. Give yourself permission to acknowledge how far you've already come, instead of focusing only on how far you still wish to go. If your workplace brings occasional tension, particularly with someone in a position of authority, today's energy encourages patience over unnecessary conflict. Not every disagreement deserves your full emotional investment, and knowing when to preserve your peace can be just as valuable as proving a point. There is wisdom in recognizing which conversations deserve your energy and which are better met with calm professionalism. Focus your attention on the parts of your work that genuinely inspire you and the relationships that encourage mutual respect. Choosing balance in these moments allows you to protect your energy for what truly deserves it, while quietly demonstrating the confidence that comes from emotional maturity. Financially, this may be a day to recognize how steady choices gradually create lasting security. Rather than waiting for dramatic changes, notice the opportunities that develop through careful planning, thoughtful conversations, or skills you've been quietly building over time. What may seem like a small financial decision today could become an important stepping stone several months from now. Small advances can become meaningful foundations when approached with consistency. The symbolic energy surrounding today suggests that prosperity often grows where preparation and confidence meet, reminding you that lasting abundance is usually created through thoughtful habits rather than sudden breakthroughs. There may also be moments that invite greater discernment. Someone could appear supportive on the surface while their actions tell a more complicated story. Instead of becoming suspicious of everyone, trust your ability to observe without rushing to conclusions. Give people enough space to reveal their intentions naturally, because consistency often speaks more clearly than impressive words. Your greatest advantage lies in seeing situations from multiple perspectives before making important decisions. Investing in your knowledge, your creativity, or projects that genuinely reflect your values may prove more rewarding than pursuing quick results, especially when those investments strengthen both your confidence and your long-term stability. Spiritually, today's atmosphere reminds you that abundance is closely connected to inner balance. As old worries begin to lose their influence, you may discover that opportunities become easier to recognize because your attention is no longer consumed by doubt. When your inner dialogue becomes calmer, you naturally begin noticing possibilities that were always present but previously hidden behind fear or overthinking. Progress doesn't always arrive all at once. Sometimes it unfolds through a series of thoughtful choices that quietly reshape your future. Patience and initiative work best together, allowing each step to support the next without forcing life to move faster than its natural rhythm. In matters of love, the desire for harmony becomes especially meaningful today. If you're in a relationship, you may find yourselves discussing expectations, future plans, or lingering concerns that deserve gentle honesty rather than avoidance. These conversations do not have to become difficult simply because they are important. In fact, approaching them with openness and genuine curiosity can strengthen the trust that already exists between you. Venus encourages warmth, appreciation, and the simple gestures that remind two people why they chose each other in the first place. Even if you've recently experienced tension, this energy favors understanding over defensiveness, helping emotional closeness return naturally through sincere communication and small everyday acts of care. If you're single, it's worth remembering that past experiences do not have to define every future possibility. Heartbreak often teaches caution, but it doesn't have to become a permanent barrier to connection. You may still carry concerns about repeating old patterns, yet every person brings a different story, different intentions, and different lessons. Sometimes healing begins when you stop expecting every new encounter to resemble the last disappointment. If someone approaches you with genuine respect, whether through a conversation online or an unexpected meeting in everyday life, allow yourself the freedom to be curious before fear decides the outcome. Sometimes healing begins with nothing more than an honest conversation, one that reminds you that openness and discernment can exist side by side. Family matters also invite a quieter kind of healing today. Situations that once felt emotionally tangled may begin to look different as your perspective becomes clearer. Time has a way of softening certain emotions, making it easier to understand not only your own feelings, but also the intentions of those around you. Your calm presence has the ability to ease tension without forcing immediate solutions, creating space where understanding can gradually replace old misunderstandings. Healthy boundaries remain important, not as walls that separate people, but as expressions of mutual respect that allow stronger relationships to grow with greater honesty and trust. Moments of reflection may help you understand the emotions surrounding those you care about with greater compassion. Rather than carrying old disappointments forward, you may discover that acceptance creates room for new conversations and renewed trust. Listening with patience can sometimes heal more than offering immediate advice, especially when loved ones simply want to feel understood. The overall atmosphere favors cooperation, emotional maturity, and a willingness to contribute steadily to the well-being of the people who matter most. Small acts of kindness today may have a lasting influence long after the moment has passed, quietly strengthening the bonds that support you through every season of life. As for your personal energy, the day appears steady rather than dramatic. You may not feel an overwhelming surge of motivation, but you don't need one to make meaningful progress. Some of the most productive days are not the ones filled with constant activity, but the ones guided by consistency, clarity, and thoughtful intention. Consistent effort, balanced routines, and a clear sense of purpose will carry you farther than brief bursts of intensity. By honoring both your need for rest and your desire to move forward, you'll find yourself ending the day with a deeper sense of clarity, renewed emotional balance, and the quiet confidence that comes from knowing you moved through the day with intention rather than urgency. One of today's greatest strengths comes from allowing your authentic self to be seen without constantly measuring it against the expectations of others. For someone who naturally values harmony, it can be tempting to adjust your voice or your choices simply to keep the peace. Yet today gently remind you that genuine balance doesn't come from losing yourself. It comes from honoring who you are while remaining open to others. Gratitude becomes more than a pleasant feeling. It becomes a way of noticing the quiet progress you've already made, even if that progress hasn't yet produced dramatic results. When you recognize the good that is already present, you naturally become more aware of the possibilities still unfolding ahead instead of focusing only on what has yet to happen. That mindset helps you move toward the future you've been patiently building, one thoughtful decision at a time, with a growing sense of confidence that each small step is contributing to something meaningful. Be mindful of emotions that quietly drain your energy without offering anything in return. Comparison, resentment, or lingering frustration can easily distract you from your own path if given too much attention, especially when life seems to be moving at a different pace for everyone around you. Rather than carrying emotional weight that no longer serves your growth, notice what becomes lighter when you choose acceptance over resistance. Instead, surround yourself with people, ideas, and experiences that encourage growth, peace, and genuine inspiration. Let today become an opportunity to restore your inner balance by releasing what no longer deserves a place in your thoughts, creating room for clearer decisions and a calmer perspective to emerge naturally. If you're currently studying or developing a new skill, today's energy supports curiosity and meaningful learning. Consider stepping beyond your usual routine by joining conversations with teachers, mentors, classmates, or professional communities, whether in person or online. Sometimes a single insight shared during an ordinary conversation can spark a completely new way of understanding something you've been struggling with. Even discussions that seem unrelated at first may broaden your perspective in unexpected ways, connecting ideas that only make sense when viewed together later on. Every new insight has the potential to strengthen the knowledge you're already building, and over time, those small discoveries create lasting confidence. Remember that growth rarely comes from knowing all the answers. It often comes from remaining willing to ask better questions. In your interactions today, certain connections may feel especially supportive. Conversations with Virgo could bring practical ideas, thoughtful encouragement, and a refreshing sense of shared purpose, helping you organize plans that have felt scattered. Scorpio may inspire determination and encourage you to trust your instincts when an important decision requires both courage and emotional honesty. Time spent with a fellow Libra may naturally encourage harmony, understanding, and easy communication, reminding you how comforting it can be to share ideas with someone who appreciates balance as much as you do. Rather than viewing these as fixed outcomes, think of them as symbolic invitations to notice where cooperation, mutual respect, and meaningful dialogue seem to flow most naturally throughout the day. As we come to the close of today's reading, I hope these reflections have offered a little more clarity and perhaps encouraged you to see your current path from a fresh perspective. Not every answer arrives the moment we ask for it, and sometimes the greatest insight comes from simply paying closer attention to what has been quietly unfolding all along. Astrology and tarot can illuminate patterns worth exploring, but the choices you make remain the most powerful influence on where your journey leads. Trust your intuition, stay open to growth, and allow today's insights to support, not replace, your own inner wisdom. The more honestly you listen to yourself, the easier it becomes to recognize which opportunities truly belong to your path. If today's message resonated with you, I'd truly appreciate your support by leaving a like. Your encouragement helps this community continue to grow and allows these daily readings to reach others who may need a moment of reassurance or reflection. And if you'd like to continue exploring daily astrological guidance and tarot insights together, don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you won't miss future readings. If you'd like to support this channel even further, you can also use the link in the description or the QR code on your screen. Every contribution, no matter the size, helps us continue creating thoughtful readings like this, improve the quality of future content, and dedicate more time to these daily messages. Your generosity and kindness are sincerely appreciated, and they make this space possible. Thank you for spending this time here with such openness and curiosity. Whether today's reading brought you reassurance, a new perspective, or simply a quiet moment to reconnect with yourself, I hope you carry that sense of balance with you as the day unfolds. Wishing you a peaceful July 13th, Libra, may your day be filled with meaningful connections, steady confidence, gentle clarity, and the quiet balance that helps every next step feel a little more certain.